Wish that I could know why you decided to show, why you didn't just go, why you still call her Jane Doe. She was 13, not yet 16, not even a tween. Friends said it would be funny if she met Epstein. He got a gig for the weekend, said she could bring a friend, said he needed someone who looked young, a blonde and a wig. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend, and her friend thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. Friends thought it was harmless, so she went with a friend. And they said they all met a nice man, and his name was Prince Andrew. And she thought he was harmless, so she went with her friend, and her thought he was harmless, so she went with her friend. And Katie thought he was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she met a girl named Katie Johnson, and she looked just like me. And they thought it was harmless, so they went with their friend. And I thought it was harmless, so I went with my friend. And Katie thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And Katie thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And Katie thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And her friend's friend thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And Katie thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And her friend's friend thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And Katie thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And her friend's friend thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was.
Saint-Germain in the membrane, insane is the end game. Cure sacrifices a goat, 7-month friendly. Listen to me, try to believe, because I deceive. I deceive that it heals for those who can see. Saint-Germain in the membrane, insane is the end game. You are to blame when I created the game. Let's do that, Saint-Germain. Let's do that, Saint-Germain. Let's dance, pretend we're friends, and pretentious and contentious. Let's be Saint-Germain. Let's be man. Indigenous insectoids weaving you the void, drought in your brain, making you insane. Wrapping up Benjamin Fulford, living the absurd like a blue avian nerd, keeping the lines blurred. Captain Mark Richards, a secret space program grifter, getting married while in prison, making you listen, create a new religion, doing the reptilian, making you forget my sins. Super soldier talks in prison, Nordican Draco, shape shifting in my Winnebago. Indigenous insectoids weaving you the void, drown in your brain, making you insane. Wrapping the Benjamin forward, living the absurd like a blue aviator, keeping the lines wrapping like Benjamin forward, living the absurd like a blue aviator, keeping the lines blurred. Rapping like Benjamin Fulford. Word. Extraterrestrial hybridized DNA. Don't need to worry about tooth decay. Kevin Spacey and his clone are feeling alone. Men who stare at goats. The Thrill Society road. Super Soldier Sunday, just another fun day. 75 years on Mars, lying about the stars. Captain Richard charms like Charles Manson's gun. Liars in the sun. Liars in the sun. Montauk's in the sun. Montauk, super soldier talk, super space program. Let's chat. Montauk, super soldier talk, super space program. Let's chat.
All right. Welcome to Not My Rabbit Hole this morning. This morning. It is still morning. It's actually 11:27 a.m. on the West Coast Pacific time, and I don't know if you can hear the sirens outside, but it is going down right now. All right, so I'm kind of doing an impromptu stream, but I was planning to stream today to tell you about how I'm going to be on Rumble tonight at 7 p.m. And I will make sure that I do link this in the comments. I'll have a pinned note, pin the post so that you will have the link to join me, where I would go into further detail about the article that I just wrote on my on Not My Rabbit Hole. So yeah. Yeah, I thought I would give myself a little bit of a round of applause on that, because I worked pretty hard on it over the last 3 days. It has, once I got started on the article, I ended up, taking a lot more time on it than I thought I would. I was thinking that I was just going to do like a quick little blurb and say, and just kind of plug um my Rumble live stream. But then once I started writing it, I realized that it was becoming something a little bit more than that. And I wanted to divulge certain information. I think when you're writing stuff about David Shurter or Thomas Schoenberger or Sarah R. Adams, or the things that are going on, it's like, if you're trying to make it so that people who have no idea who these people are, I mean, I know that in our world, right, we want to like, we know all the people. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I was adjusting. My mind went somewhere else for a moment. Forgive me. Happens sometimes. I mean, come on, I am older than David Shurter. I'm just kidding. I'm just making a joke. I mean, he keeps saying I'm almost 60. I'm almost 60. I don't really like saying what my age is, so I'll just leave it at that. I think sometimes when you make your age definite, when you go, I'm this or I'm that, then we become that. If you just say, I've been on the planet for this many years, make what you will out of that, or you just ignore a number, you just ignore what that is, because oftentimes society defines us by that number, and what's even worse is that we define ourselves by that number. And I do believe that our mind does create our reality, and so it's really, I think sometimes it's just, words are powerful. Words and things that you say to yourself and things that you say to other people or about other people, it's very, very powerful. I'm getting kind of a flashback, when I used to perform at the Ice House Comedy Club when I was living in Pasadena, and I was one of the rotating MCs at the club. And there's a green room, and I was back, and there every other Sunday or once a month, there was a guy named who was a hypnotist that would come in, and I was sitting in the back, and I was talking to him, and I was going through something, and somebody was saying something about me or to me that was really hurtful, but I knew it wasn't true. And he says, well, though, he goes, words are powerful. They can make us do and think things. And at the time, he's a hypnotist, so I'm like, oh yeah, of course, power of suggestion. But it was interesting that he was a show hypnotist. And that was the information that he gave me. I guess maybe I needed to impart that on you as well, is that, again, even a hypnotist is going to say, words are powerful. Even with, like, you think about Sarah R. Adams, being involved with what you would call a super soldier program. The whole thing about it is there's a mind control aspect about it. People who believe that they've been under mind control, people think that it's true. CIA mind control or Manchurian candidate is a real thing. Now whether or not all the people who are on YouTube who claim that they are that's up for debate. I mean, just because it's true that does exist, and we've had movies called The Manchurian Candidate, doesn't necessarily mean that every personality or every person that gets up on their camera, streams themselves off their phone and says they are, means that they really are, that they actually are. even if you want to think of a law of averages, just because you say you are something doesn't mean, I mean, on YouTube, I'm just saying people on YouTube, just because they say they are something or they wrote a book or they did whatever, or, they're the co-founder of an ARG puzzle, doesn't mean that they actually are, or like what they wrote in their book is factual. I mean, really, I guess like right now, like we live in a time on the internet where it's really hard to see what's real or not. Well, we've got artificial intelligence. We got a lot of different people saying a lot of different things on topics. Images can be altered. A conversation could be framed a certain way. Some people just flat out lie. They take one little tiny aspect of something and they stretch it into something else. Like, really finding out what the truth is, or discerning what the truth is, or seeking what the truth is, it's a full-time job. Because even the best of us can get fooled with information that looks like it's real, or it seems that it's real, or we believe it to be true. But we do have a check and balance system to the best of our knowledge of this. Like, for example, you can show receipts. You can show, real conversations, make documentary films and show things, document it, leave it up for debate. We have a judicial system. And I think, I know right away I can tell when somebody's lying. I'm one of those people that I can just read people. I know that guy's a liar. This person's lying. This is not true. And then if I go and fact check it, then I know it's really a lie, or there's an argument against their statement that isn't entirely true. And that's pretty much what I did, while I was writing my most recent article on Not My Rabbit Hole. And, I want to talk a little bit about Not My Rabbit Hole and some of the things that, I do have created. I created this blog to go along with Not My Rabbit Hole. Actually, it's been 3 years now or more. I created it, or I started creating it before I think I moved back to Fresno. Or around the same, I did it before. And some of the articles that I did in the beginning are not, I didn't keep, because some of the things that I wrote in the beginning, I felt that I outgrew my belief systems and my sentiments on certain things. So I just didn't think that was good. But one of the things is, like, for example, I did maybe, a thing on who were the Facebook independent fact checkers. And, at that time, I was feeling that, we were getting discriminated on information now that's actually being, we find out is legitimate. Like, I think I saw a YouTube video of, Roseanne, going, I told you so. Like, everybody's like, I told you so. I told you that Jeffrey Epstein was real. I remember, like, way back when we, we're starting on, in the media, because I was in the media that was really on the forefront of talking about Jeffrey Epstein and exposing, what was going on. And, we're talking, 2015 here, 2016, then you get closer to the, the presidential election between Trump and Hillary Clinton. We were talking about it then, right on the precipice of the election. And I have to say, the main reason I did not, vote for Hillary Clinton that year was because of the fact of the WikiLeaks that came out and the John Podesta stuff and all of it. So at this time, the Facebook independent fact checkers were really it was really going down at that time. And, I was looking at things like the Poynter Institute, which is, a big journalism, huge history of fostering journalists and journalism and establishment and articles and blah, 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 blah. Right. So now I know, now that I've gone to college and, gotten a degree in digital journalism, I know a little bit more of the background. So even this article, I would rewrite it, matter of fact, I may need to even like lose it really altogether. But I think sometimes it's kind of good to show a progression maybe of like my work or where I've come from. Like I want to see where I started and where I grew to, as my own chart of analysis. But this is another article I did about Captain Mark Richards, Pendragon cult leader turned secret space program whistleblower, question mark. And I kind of, went into the history of Captain Mark Richards and the history a bit of Carrie Cassidy interviewing him in prison and this and that. And I don't, he was he was like a Charles Manson type of figure in Marin County, and he convinced young men that were probably like 17, 18, somewhere in there to commit a murder on his behalf. And there was a kind of like a Arthurian, Pendragon cult, right? So, Pendragon cult leader. So it's kind of an interesting case. And if you notice, one of my songs that I started out on here on Not My Rabbit Hole, I actually mentioned Captain Mark Richards in two of the super soldier types of songs that I have, because he plays a very big part in the super soldier folklore. A lot of people believe that he is really a UFO disclosure, that his story of, being the captain of a spaceship is real. Okay. This is something where I said YouTube AI algorithm fails to recognize sarcasm. I do think now that AI, since I wrote this article, which is 4 or 5 years ago, is a little bit more on the beat of sarcasm or humor or whatever. Maybe I would say it's improving. I was doing an article on technology and artificial intelligence. And where they were recruiting students to look at the different types of careers that are available. And one of the speakers actually coded right in front of us with different, like off of Gemini and, different things, types of things, LLM, large language model platforms, and was able to, create a joke generator. So you could go in and say, I need a joke about dogs. And then it would spit out a bunch of, dogs, or a dog eating a pink leash and blank, blank, blank. Just like, and then it would spit out like a formulaic joke. The ones I saw weren't very good, though. I have to say they were, not very good. This is an article that I did. This was one of my journalism classes that I took at Fresno City College. One of our finals was to do a feature story on somebody that we knew, and I decided for my final to do a feature story on Stephen Cambion from Truth Seekers, and I published that on June 14th, 2022. Then I did, on my own. I blogged, did an article called "The Neo Homeless." I did this was an essay that I actually did in my English critical thinking class, where I made an argument that we're in need of cannabis literacy, and then, as you can see and that was, I uploaded that on. So from July 23rd, 2022 until February 15th, 2026, 4 years I had not uploaded on my blog. And, one of the goals that I had for myself was, after graduation, everything else, and where I'm at in this point in my life, was to actually start writing again, like really doing articles on my own blog, and contribute with articles and blog posts. And so the first one I did, which I did a reading here on Not My Rabbit Hole, was the Wood Chipper Gang and the $5,000 Hitman. And the second one that I did recently was yesterday. Last night, I published. Wait, no. Actually, it didn't get published until today. I guess I did it in the middle of, I don't know. Somehow today's the 24th, so it's been published today on February 24th, 2026. And it's like when personal data is used as a threat. I guess it happened late at midnight or whatever, but I still posted it. It's odd that I thought I did it last night. Huh, that's weird. Maybe I'm time traveling. I'm kidding. Oh my goodness. I give myself a gong on that. Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, this one is when personal data is used as a threat. And this one is, I'm kind of pleased with it, actually. I put a lot of work into it. I'm going to read a excerpt of it here in just a moment. And again, if you just, came into Not My Rabbit Hole, thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and put this banner on here. We've already started the show, so we don't need to do that. But, we'll be right back with more Not My Rabbit Hole. Stay tuned.
He ain't no Saint Germain, no crown, no name. He plays the game sharp as a flame. Who's to blame for the stolen fame? A shadow dance in the devil's frame. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on a stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Fast, can't find the ground. Echoes of chaos all around. You chose this dance, this mad parade, but not every choice gets accolades. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Going down the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole.
All right. So I'm going to share the screen here and read just the beginning of it a little bit on it, just to kind of give you a taste of what's to come. And I'll make sure that I put this in my comment as well. I'm going to go into more detail about this article and about things that are going on concerning Thomas Schoenberger. And David and Sarah and other things, but on my Rumble channel. But the title of my article is "When Personal Data is Used as a Threat." And Thomas Schoenberger threatens to disclose my personal info on YouTube. And so here it starts. Thomas Schoenberger posted on his YouTube community page that he was willing to hand over my private data to any party that might want to sue or place a restraining order on me. He writes, I am now giving Sarah R. Adams, David Shurter, and others who wish to litigate against Teresa Joyce Randolph her email, home address, and phone number. The screenshot below shows a post Thomas Schoenberger made on his Sophia Music YouTube community page, 02/2026. And here he writes, I am not a felon on stalking charges. That's a lie. One pushed by Terry and certain hedge fund manager in Florida who I can and will dispose as a witness if needed. 2, I'm now giving Sarah Adams, David Shurter, and others who wish to litigate against Teresa Randolph her email, home address, and phone number for legal purposes only. I will not make this information public. This is witness tampering, and Teresa Joyce Randolph will now be dragged into court. I just gave David Shurter Terry's address and email should he wish to have a restraining order out on her. He has her number because she has already called and harassed him. I have no problem if Shurter forwards this information onto Sarah Adams, Blazing Scar, whoever is intending to sue or place a restraining order on Teresa Joyce Randolph due to her predatory behaviors. If GH or BB want to help the wig, that's their business. I'm sorry. It cracks me up. Just like it goes through all this stuff, and then he resorts to I mean, could you imagine people going, "What the wig? The wig? What does that mean? The wig?" Okay, sorry. Okay, I have no problem if Mr. Shurter forwards the information onto Sarah Adams, Blazing Scar, whoever is intending to sue or place a restraining order on Teresa Joyce Randolph due to her predatory behaviors. If GH or BB want to help the wig, that's their business. If they want to help Teresa Joyce Randolph commit criminal acts, that carries consequences. Wow. So basically what he's saying is that if you want to support me, in my criminal acts, boom, criminal acts I'm not guilty of, by the way. No proof, no nothing, just the fact that Thomas Schoenberger said it. And that carry in it, but people that support me or maybe, speak out in my chat or give me a super chat or a super thanks or or are friends with me, you know what I'm saying? Or that I have some sort of, they've been a guest on my show or whatever. If you support me, that carries, you're being associated to me, carries consequences against those people. As told, so he's not only threatening me, he's threatening anybody who actually is around or supportive of me. That's a big threat, and he thinks he's able to do it. That he is entitled to threaten people that associate with me and support me. I have not doxed Teresa Joyce Randolph's address publicly, though I did give it to Patrick Moran because he stated he was suing her, and I was happy to help. Well, I haven't been served a lawsuit yet, Thomas. And actually what did happen is, well, I've said it before, but I was doxed. Let's just put it that way. David Shurter says a felon on, and this is, and what he's doing now, notice, this is a screenshot of a video that I uploaded that day that says David Shurter says a felon on stalking charges has the scoop. And that video is on my channel. Announcing that you're going to disclose a person's private data in a video or post violates YouTube community guidelines. I reported Schoenberger's post on his Sophia Music YouTube channel on 02/2026 26, yet it is still visible on his community page. Thomas, now this is what it, then I go in and I described who they are. Who is Thomas Schoenberger? Who is David Shurter? Who is Sarah Rachel Adams? Because I think if you're writing to a larger audience other than our echo chamber, then people need to understand who they are, what my relationship to them is, and why this would be happening. Okay. And so I put, this is a subheading, the players. Thomas Schoenberger is a polymath composer and entrepreneur, as stated on his website at Schoenberger Music. He describes himself as a co-founder of Cicada 3301, an organization associated with cryptocurrency. I'm sorry, let me do that again. He describes himself as a co-founder of Cicada 3301, an organization associated with crypto ecosystems. Cicada 3301 is an augmented reality game that features cicada crypto tokens within its puzzles. Schoenberger's ownership of the Cicada 3301 puzzle is up for dispute. The Washington Post writes that the creators of the puzzle remain unknown in their article. And I did here, you can see I've hyperlinked, okay, the article. So anybody can read further on that information if they choose to. So my comment is sourced. Same here. This links to the Cicada 3301 website. This is schoenbergermusic.com. So you can see that I'm taking the quote straight off of his website. See. Thomas Schoenberger is a polymath composer and entrepreneur, as stated on his website. Okay, this is his bio that he's writing about, or someone, or himself. This is what he's writing about himself in his bio. So I mentioned here about how he is a self-described co-founder of Cicada 3301, an organization associated with crypto ecosystems. Reason why I'm saying that is because there's a cicada crypto token within the puzzle. I don't know if you guys, do you know that? I wonder if David Shurter knows that when he talks. Does he know who Thomas Schoenberger is, really, when he talks about him or accepts emails in the middle of the night from him that he posts the next day on his blog? Defamatory, lying statements, unproven things about me and several other people. So here I talk about how, even though he claims, he self-describes himself as the co-founder of Cicada 3301, Washington Post says the people who created it, that started the puzzle, originated, the owners of the puzzle are unknown. And yet Thomas Schoenberger claims he was one of the creators, one of the people. Or did they just find this puzzle and decided that they were going to call themselves the co-founders and take out an LLC on it? Which is it? After avowing for several years that he co-founded the mysterious ARG game from its onset, he finally formed an LLC. Cicada 3301 Metaverse LLC confirms that its products and services are the work of independent artists, writers, and performers. However, it makes no mention of an ARG puzzle game with a crypto token. All right, and then I talk about how, and I'm gonna stop it like right here. In November of 2022, Schoenberger sent me a flattering email about my YouTube live stream and asked whether I had a crypto wallet, as he wanted to make a donation. I declined because, as a student journalist, I knew it was unethical to accept money or gifts from people you are reporting about. And on that note, I am going to take a pause and play another song from Astral Records. 6980, which is my AI created music channel, and I can admit that. Here we go. This is a Saint Germain. This is a Saint Germain in the Membrane, and this is a Thomas Schoenberger inspired song.
Saint Germain in the membrane, insane is the end game. Cure sacrifices, goats and goats sing. Listen to me, try to believe, because I deceive. Thaddeus on me, for those who can't see. Saint Germain in the membrane, insane is the end game. You are to blame when I created the game. Let's do the Saint Germain. Let's do the Saint Germain. Let's dance, pretend we're friends, and pretentious and contentious. Let's be Saint
I did all these different versions of this song. That wasn't my favorite one. It's very okay. Anyway, but some of the lyrics, like for example, this one, the indigenous insectoid, the Benjamin Fulford song that I played earlier, these lyrics, I really did a lot. This is a lot of my own writing here, even this one, really. But this one, which is Jane Doe, which is based on Katie Johnson in the Epstein files, or associated with the Donald Trump and Epstein situation. And I just put in key words in terms of the lyrics, and the lyrics really kind of blew me away because it flat out mentions Epstein and Prince Andrew. It automatically put AI automatically put Prince Andrew into this song, and I'm going to play it before we go on. But this is a song about the Jeffrey Epstein files.
I wish that I could know why you decided to show, why you didn't just go, why you still call her Jane Doe. She was 13, not yet 16, not even a tween. Her friends said it would be funny if she met Epstein. He got a gig for the weekend, said she could bring a friend, said he needed someone who looked young, a blonde and a wig. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend, and her friend thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. Friends thought it was harmless, so she went with a friend. And they said they all met a nice man, and his name was Prince Andrew. And she thought he was harmless, so she went with her friend, and her thought he was harmless, so she went with her friend. And Katie thought he was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she met a girl named Katie Johnson, and she looked just like me. And they thought it was harmless, so they went with their friend. And I thought it was harmless, so I went with my friend. And Katie thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And Katie thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And Katie thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And her friend's friend thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And Katie thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And her friend's friend thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And Katie thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And her friend's friend thought it was harmless, so she went with her friend. And she thought it was.
Anyway, I like doing I like being on Suno.com and creating my own music, so I don't have to worry about the rights or pay another company to use their music while I'm on YouTube. It really simplifies things, and it's really super enjoyable. I love, I don't know, it prompts, even though like sometimes I'm in a hurry and I just have AI create a song and I just put a prompt in there and it'll make it for you. It's still, it's still fun. It's, it's still creative in the sense that sometimes I don't do that. You can write your own lyrics and then you don't have to pay the rights for it. It's just, I don't know. I'll stop on that. Hi, Saren. It's nice to see you here. Hey, Captain Apu. All right. Yeah, I was just sharing. I read an excerpt. If you just got here, I just read an excerpt of from my blog. I didn't read the whole blog because there's things in the blog really that, I would prefer not to really discuss. It gets more into things that I really don't want to say here on my YouTube channel, and I feel restricted, and I just really want to talk about some things on Rumble tonight. Let me get the Rumble link out for you guys, so that you can join the stream later tonight on Rumble. If you're not following me on Rumble, please do. I have some people. There's a friend of mine, Nate Gray. He's like a super soldier guy. I'm putting that in the chat too. He used to have a super soldier. He has a forum blog that he writes. He's had for a long time. And he used to have a YouTube channel that went along with it. Now he's just on Rumble. And he goes, I've been doing this content on Sarah, and he's like, oh, I want to watch Stephen Cambion talk, do a show on Sarah on Truth Seekers. And, he goes, tell Stephen, he's boycotting YouTube. He doesn't like YouTube anymore. So he won't even watch anything on YouTube. So, I like streaming some stuff on YouTube too. I mean, on Rumble as well. Because you can, and I've said this before, you can say different things on Rumble and not really worry about it. It's a different program, and I think it's got a pretty good following. I don't like their interface as well in terms of their streaming software as YouTube. I think YouTube's far superior to them in that respect, but it's still and people like in our demographic, or I'm not saying I don't want to think that I'm in like just this echo chamber of things, but a lot of you guys that are here, we also, we double up with Rumble channels, and we're able to go from one platform to the other. So anyways, I'm rambling. I need a little help myself. Yeah, we all do. We all need help. Okay, so I'm going to show, this is a video clip of David's. It's really very, very much directed towards me. And the person that, the channel that made it is documenting David. And
I'm almost 60
I'm going to go ahead and play a bit of this here.
years old, and I've had lots of therapy and I've been very consistent with my spiritual practice. I know who I am. And just let me, for the record, a bunch of goddamn child traffickers who are hurting kids and who are fucking criminals, I don't give a shit what you think about anything. Fucking raping 4-year-olds and living in your fucking mother's basement. And again, Tara, I live in a house.
Okay, let me just specify this again with, I've said over and over that my name is pronounced Terry. So he's still, as 3 years later, not really saying my name is not pronounced Tara David. So I just have to point that out here.
That's completely paid for.
Okay, so he's telling me, like, I guess I need to know that his house is completely paid for. That's really important that he tell me that his, that he's so successful, that, apparently this is, I don't even like compare to David Shurter at this point as a human being. He has a house. That is the epitome of success and spiritual heighten, ascension a person can have, is to be a house owner. God, why ask Jesus for your personal savior if all only thing that you need to go to heaven and be a worthy human being is to own a house?
And I moved here from a house that I sold that was also completely paid for.
I'm wondering, was he like in his room, like going over what he's going to say to me? Like, and you know what, Terry, I wonder if blah, 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 blah. I'm going to get up there and I'm going to tell her this. I'm going to tell her off because I am so superior to Tere Joyce.
You know how it all began? The house in Algona, Washington, that Doug Mesner wanted. That's the reason why Doug wanted me out of that house. That's the reason why they sent me that weird bitch that came and stayed for a few days until I threw her out, getting the protection order on me, just trying to get me the fuck out of that house. Because I bought it for $78 because it was a bank foreclosed and it was in trash by the time I got done with it. I sold it for $240,000. $230,000, excuse me. $230,000.
It's kind of interesting. It's almost like he's saying, well, I got a house that was almost in foreclosure, which would have been his own situation, and then he flipped it for $240,000, and yet it almost happened to him.
My life has been built on consistently making good choices.
Okay. Well, I could say a lot more about that, but I'll keep my mouth shut.
I may have fucking post-traumatic stress disorder. I may have problems.
Okay, is that what this is? because, you know, David, you cause people to have post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know. I don't know if you realize that.
With anxiety, I may have problems with stress.
You're not the only person who has problems with stress and anxiety. You're not the only person in this circle of people that have problems with stress and anxiety. You are not isolated in it, and you really don't have a whole lot of care about what your words, because remember I talked about words in the beginning of this podcast, this live stream. I talked about the power of words, and yes, your words are powerfully harmful to people, and they're not true. You know they're a lie, and you do not, just like my blog, like if you looked at my blog, I had links sourced to the things that I'm talking about so somebody can fact check that. You don't have that. You have the screenshots of Thomas Schellenberger lying about us that you did not fact check. You don't even know who you're talking to, I don't think. Or do you, David? Do you? But it doesn't matter, right? As long as you keep being a victim and accusing other people, you think, or somebody's going to give you a donation for it. They may even give you a donation because you're doing it to someone that they want to have their reputation smeared. And if it really comes down to it, I mean, I think there's enough evidence to speculate that. If it really comes down to it, there's going to be a lawsuit over this. Well, you know, maybe you will have to cough up your financial records, Mr. Schellenberger and Mr. Shurter. Do you ever think about that? I mean, if something really had to be investigated about you getting paid, David, to defame people on the internet, like it looks like you are, like your GoFundMe is doing, maybe it will get investigated. It could happen, right? It's like Judy Tenuta. It could happen.
And you want to know what? I will never stop saying what I'm saying. I'm never going to stop calling you out. It's your whole adage. You say something.
This is me. I'm never going to stop calling you out. Calling me out for what, David? You have not presented one shred of evidence to back any of your claims or accusations about me. And, you know, what's interesting is he's going to say, watch what he says. Watch what he says here. Watch his rationale here.
Loud enough and long enough, and it becomes the truth.
Okay. He said, say something loud enough and long enough, and it becomes the truth. Lie about somebody loud enough and long enough, and it becomes the truth. People will eventually believe it. That is what he's trying to accomplish right now.
And you want to know what especially gives that power to all of this shit? I'm telling the truth.
No, you're not. No, you're not, David. You're not telling the truth. And I will go so far as ask the FBI and everybody else to investigate me to find out. Come and investigate me. But you know what, David? You're not going to be allowed to be on your channel and engage in defamation of my character. And yeah, you can be stopped, especially if I file a civil harassment suit against you, which I am intending, I'm figuring out a way to do right now. Because that's how the real world works, David.
Truth is going to win out.
Do you think that this is a good choice? Is this a good choice for you? Are you making a good choice concerning the circumstances that you've already had several restraining orders, David?
That's what's going to happen. That's why I'm never going to stop, and I'm just going to keep regurgitating the same shit over and over and over and over. And then I'm almost 60 years old, and
Okay, so let me discontinue that there. Yeah, so he thinks he's not going to, he thinks he's not going to stop. He claims he's telling the truth. He's going to say it over and over and over again. He thinks he's entitled to do that. And he just isn't. He isn't. And then here's another one. Now here, my argument in this is David Shurter. You know, I showed my blog, right? I showed my blog and you know, what it looked like, and I read an excerpt of the article, and you know, David says that he is you know, he's not going to stop. He's telling the truth. He's going to keep going. Well, you know, when you're in a debate, when people are looking at evidence on both sides of the story, one person might, you know, give out factual evidence with links and on their blog and actually write something about what's going on. And another person, you know, will have a blog that, you know, looks like this. Now, I showed how I have like a design to mine, you know, big, not my rabbit hole, a little subtitle, that's not my rabbit hole. You know, all blogs have the sidebar here, right? But this is there is no statute of limitations on murder. And that's it. Wow. And then a bunch of, you know, screenshots about Neil Gross and things that really make no sense right here. Where's the story here, David? Right? Dude, you bragged and was so eager to let me know that you were involved with the murder of my friend Owen. How is anybody going to go here and know exactly what you're talking about? Oh, but you think if you keep saying it over and over, somebody's going to like make sense of this hodgepodge craziness of showing and exposing other people's blogs. I got quite the reaction from yesterday's YouTube live cast. And here's the reaction. Read the full post. Let's look at this. Oh my God, look. Not much going on here, really, right? Not much going on here. Maybe it was the fact that Kirby Summers showed up in my chat during the live, David Shurter live. How could they have foreseen the future when they decided to take out Epstein? Maybe what? Maybe what was the fact? Maybe it was the fact. He automatically assumes that anybody who's going to see his posts automatically know the entire backstory to anything that he's talking about. Like he's that big of a deal that he can just... Maybe it was the fact that Kirby Summers showed up in my chat during the live. Okay, who the fuck is... Who's Kirby Summers, David? Was it really Kirby Summers, or was it a sock account? Somebody pretending to be Kirby Summers. Because you know who does that? Thomas Schoenberger. People who associate with Thomas Schoenberger will be in your chat with fake chat stuff. This. So now, almost every blog post is... I didn't bother to open and read any of them, as I realized it's the same old harassing BS. They obviously didn't like what I said in my life. Thomas Schoenberger watched Tere Joyce's obviously... So it's... What do you mean you didn't look at it? But why would... Right here, we're talking about people who are interested in posting anything factual or have integrity and telling anything near the truth. You would actually look at the screenshots of what you're posting on your blog and what those things say. but not David. It just happens to come from Thomas Schoenberger. And this is the reaction to what he had to say. And within that, Thomas Schoenberger drops my name. Oh my goodness. So let's look at my blog again. Let's look at my blog. Now I don't have the I don't have as many posts. It's probably, I would say, newer. I also play for my blog. David, cries and, crowdsources his own blog, saying if it goes down, he won't, his information won't go on here. Here's what it looks like on mine on the cover. Better design. That it's an article. Thomas Schoenberger posted on his YouTube community page that he was willing to hand over my private data when personal data is used as a threat. Wow. He says my blog is all about him. I only have 2 posts that have anything to do with him. That's what he said yesterday. So I don't know. We are talking about, like, when I showed this video here. Let's go back to the video I just showed. When you talk about David Shurter, just out of curiosity, when you talk about saying something over and over and over again until it becomes true, well, you know what? You got to say it better than the person that you're accusing. And that's a problem for you, David. That is a big problem for you. Because I say, I'm a better reporter of the truth than you are.
He ain't no Saint Germain, no crown, no name. He plays the game sharp as a flame. Who's to blame for the stolen fame? A shadow dance in the devil's frame. Caught in a rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on a stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Caught in a rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Fast, can't find the ground. Echoes of chaos all around. You chose this dance, this mad parade, but not every choice gets accolades. Caught in a rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Going down the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole.